Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe Fairborn with Hello Sunshine, and I this year was a judge on brand storytelling, which I had the pleasure of doing, which was amazing. And we're here today to talk about the Lesbian Bar Project, which this was one of my favorites. This was an incredible use of brand storytelling, not only because it's shining a light on these incredible diverse communities and safe spaces, but there was just, I think, incredibly raw emotion that was captured. Like there was no holding back. And you took, interesting and tough topics and turned them into a really entertaining episodic series. So, and I also want to add, like, you could really clearly draw that amazing connection between the story and the brand's values and purpose. It was all so sincere. So I'm so happy to be here today talking to you all. And I think we'll continue to do rounds of intros. Is that
great? Sure.
Well, I'll go. So I'm Brian Toombs. I oversee content in the Roku brand studio, and we had the honor and privilege of producing and distributing the Lesbian Bar Project series. Liv?
I'm Liv, Olivia O'Leary. I'm the National Manager of Culture, Content and Experiential Manager with Jägermeister. And I had the pleasure of working on this project for the past 2 years with these wonderful directors, and now this last year with Brian and the Roku team to bring this to the wider audience.
In my middle box.
So hi, I'm Alina Street. I'm one of the creators and directors of the Lesbian Bar Project.
And I'm Erica Rose, and I also was one of the creators and directors of the Lesbian Bar Project, and was so thrilled to work with all these wonderful people for the past couple of years.
Amazing. So glad we're all here. Let's dig in. With that, I'll start. I'm gonna actually flip this maybe to Brian. I have different questions for all of you, because I can't wait to really hear about how this project came to life. So Brian, talk me through a little bit. How did the project transpire between the filmmakers and Roku and Jägermeister? How did this all come together?
Yeah, so I'm sure Erica and Alina will get into it a little bit more, but back at the beginning of the pandemic, they started the Lesbian Bar Project, which was initially a fundraiser to help keep lesbian bars open during the pandemic. And as a part of that effort, they made a PSA, and that was very well received and attracted the interest of folks at Stacey Lentz at Stonewall Inn, and Leah Deliria from the Orange is the New Black, and people started to get some momentum. Then they turned it into a short film, which is awesome, and I highly recommend checking that out. Which profiled some of the bars and really, made people aware that lesbian bars are disappearing. And that's how we open our series, which is that, there were over 300 lesbian bars in the 1980s, and now there's less than 25. And again, Erica and Alina will talk much more in depth about that, I'm sure. So after the short film came out, that's when it came to my attention. Erica is actually friends with with a producer on my team, Kaishla, and she showed me the short film, and we were like, this is a series. This deserves episodic storytelling, not only because of the subject matter, but because of how well it was done by Erica and Alina. So Jägermeister had already become involved during the beginning stages of this as Erica and Alina's partners, and I'm sure Liv will talk about that as well. So basically, we had this short film. We had the project. We had Liv and Jägermeister, and then Roku entered the mix, and we said, let's make this a streaming series. And God bless America, everybody said yes. So here we are, and we're excited to talk about it.
That's amazing. So Erica and Alina, I know, having this based on the short film, can you talk a little bit about the process of turning it into a series and some of the creative choices that you had to make and how you went about even just, bringing all these amazing women into the series.
Yeah. So, as Brian mentioned, we had done significant work for the past, 2 years, kind of introducing the world to this statistic that there were fewer than 25 lesbian bars left in the country. And our goal with the series was to really transcend that stat and to tell the human stories behind the bars. And I think we spent, hours and months, and I mean, honestly, years talking to these people. So we knew them pretty well actually before we went down and filmed with them. And we wanted to make sure that we were profiling people who not only were amazing business owners, but were really impacting their communities. And it was very clear to us that we were going to have to get personal with these folks. And these three women who are at the center of our episodes, there was not much resistance to getting as personal as they did. And they really trusted us because they knew that we were approaching it with integrity. And we knew that there was going to be issues around socioeconomic disadvantages, racism, addiction, just, the plights of the pandemic, environmental factors. And we knew that that was all part of our vision of these are central places for communities. They're more than just bars. And each episode kind of emphasizes that in their own special way. And we also cohesively had elements that were aligned throughout the 3 episodes, but obviously each of them kind of go in different directions based on the subject material.
Yeah, and I think also partnering with Leah Delaria from the beginning. So she's our executive producer, but she also is a part of our introductions to the episodes. We wanted to sort of bring in our audience in a space that felt familiar and warm. And also one of the things we really wanted to show was a lot of the times we talk about our spaces and we reminisce about the spaces. There is a lot of trauma in the past, and we really wanted to give an optimism to the future. And so we really wanted to make sure our storytelling was also uplifting. And so there's this introduction by Leah that's quite comedic, but then also you get into the deep, humanizing stories of all these bar owners and these bars, but there's also a celebration of life and then an opening to a brighter future. Because when we did start the project, as Brian mentioned and Erica mentioned, this was the beginning of the pandemic. Erica and I are both filmmakers. Our industry was shut down. We had a lot of time to reflect on our spaces that we did somewhat take for granted, and we missed reuniting within. And so that was really the ethos of the project was, we are social beings and we deserve to be together and we deserve to be with our people and we deserve to celebrate. So that was how everything kind of evolved, and the series was really an opportunity to really go dive deeper into that.
That's amazing. Did you feel that once Roku came on board and all of a sudden this was going to be, on a bigger streaming platform, did that change any of the creative or any choices or the way you filmed, the way you shot it at all? Or
Well, it was exciting. I think what Erica was mentioning, just like uniformity between the episodes, because the landscapes are so different. The first episode takes place in Houston. The second episode takes place in Phoenix. And then we go to New York. And so for us having the opportunity to really spend more time in those places in the short film, it kind of felt like we were sort of scratching the surface. It was a different ethos, it was different just discussion. And now just being able to be, with our bar owners for a longer amount of time to dive into their past and their story to then understand the present was just really wonderful to have that opportunity. And then also from an audience perspective, since we had a built-in audience already with just with our project being a PSA, a short film, a crowdfunding campaign with the amazing support from Jägermeister as well. And one thing we didn't mention yet was that it was aligned with the Save the Night campaign, which was saving nightlife from disappearing due to COVID. So our missions were very aligned, and it was just a very it was just a beautiful work of a collaborative effort with the community stepping up for giving back to the community. And so being recognized by a platform such as Roku that really helped elevate this further was just a great honor.
I know
And the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah. There's always more to do. How long did it take you all to shoot, by the way?
We filmed
Not enough.
Yeah, we wish we had way more time. We were there for, it was like a week per episode, both like 5 shooting days. And then we were prepping for a couple, weeks before that. But it was a really fast turnaround. Post-production was really fast. But I think that what helped is that we were all really aligned. Obviously, Alina and I had our creative vision, but we were aligned with Roku and Jägermeister. So it really was pretty efficient. It was definitely challenging. But I guess I wouldn't want it any other way.
Still dealing with COVID surges, and I want to underline that Erica and Alina, I say this to them all the time, and I don't know if they like it, but they are tremendous producers on top of being directors. And I think that really shines through for those of us who have produced non-scripted content. These are not actors reading lines, right? So these are real people, and to be able to do that storytelling requires a different type of producing. So all that research and that relationships that they strengthened with our principals really shines through. I just really wanted to underline that. Additionally, I'm going to say nice things about Liv later when we get to a little more of the branding stuff, but brands sometimes have different goals here, right? Or they're in it for a different, reasons that are pure, but also, they have to get what they need to get out of it as well. And that can sometimes be a conflict. Never with Jaeger. They were 100% aligned with making sure that this was entertainment forward and that it was going to be entertaining to the Roku audience, which is why we got excited about it, because it really demonstrates the power of when a brand gets behind a project and makes it real. The best outcome is something that is satisfying to the audience, which is why we're excited to be, showing this to a wider audience at Brand Storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, look, in addition to just purely enjoying the film from a cinematic standpoint, right? Like, one of the criteria that we have at Brand Storytelling is whether the story influenced our impression of the brand, right? And can we draw that really distinct but important connection to the brand's values and ethics, or like, what are, and I answered yes to all of those things. So, given that this was something that I think maybe was started with your Save the Night campaign, Olivia, like, was this just a natural next step for the brand to lean in and do this, or did you have trouble getting internal buy-in, or what is that process like for you?
Yeah, well, as Brian said, traditional marketing has a list of KPIs and deliverables that you have to hit. But Save the Night kind of removed a lot of that. Save the Night was an initiative that was founded because of the result of COVID, because we needed to support our creative community. And that's how this all started. So there was no KPIs, there was no deliverables, there was no needs. It was just, we were introduced to Eric and Elena by the wonderful Stacey Lentz that we had a powerful relationship with in the past. And she came to us being like, these wonderful creators and directors are after coming to us with this project that they want to tell. I think you'd be a great partner to help tell this story. And, at the time when the ladies came to us with this and, stat, it was like, I think there was only 15 bars identified. And it was just so shocking to us as like being in hospitality. And like, I was like, that's not true. Like, everybody just found it so hard to believe. And the fact that these not only bars and venues, but safe spaces with the risk of closure was powerful to everybody in the organization to go ahead and get behind this and help rally it. Our only concern as a brand was just making sure that like it was more than just a piece of content. So we worked with the girls then and kind of helped, adding on that fundraising campaign and bringing in some help from our influencers and voices to help expand the narrative. And when they came back with the second round, it was like, we want to tell more of a compelling story. and tell the stories of this community. We trusted their vision. We had nothing to do with the creative output at all. We as a brand, we knew where our place was. Our only place was to provide a platform to allow these wonderful creators to tell such an important story. So the natural progression of things when it came to Roku. Obviously, there was more conversations because there was a larger investment, but I think everybody just was aligned from the beginning as this was the right thing to do as a brand, and we need to continue telling the story because it wasn't done. And the results were amazing. New bars opened because of this. New bars came out and identified themselves as being lesbian. And, I think, this isn't the end of it. There's a lot more to do and a lot more to tell, but we're very proud as an organization to be able to support the project and have the help of Roku to help make more people see this wonderful vision.
I mean, it literally feels like all stars aligned.
Yeah, I also just want to underline how rare it is that we are afforded the opportunity as queer women to tell our own stories. And I just want to thank Olivia and Brian for allowing us to do that. And I think that it's unfortunate that it's rare and it's becoming a bit more prominent, but I just think that it's an opportunity that we honestly didn't see coming, and we are just so grateful that we got that.
Yeah, I mean, given what's happened recently in this country too, like in Colorado, it just feels like with the climate, like these stories are they've always been important, but they're so important. Like it's so important to be out here and talking about it and showing this entertaining way and showing this human side. I mean, I loved all the side stories too, with the different, the bartender, the guy, who put on the drag show right at the first bar. Like it's just, all those side stories tied into just showed how these communities all were brought together. You did a really beautiful job of weaving those stories together. Really an amazing job.
I think the word, and you used it, Zoe, and I like that when Eric and Alina say it's human stories, right? That's really that really captures it for me.
I know. So tell us some good, I don't know, anecdotes or things on set, or what, like, I don't know, what were some of the maybe your cherished moments, right?
Working in 110 degrees.
Humidity, 90% humidity.
Yeah, schwitzing my ass off at the crawfish boil. That was but besides all of that, those were definitely highlights. But and I did have a duet with one of the drag kings that unfortunately was on the cutting room floor, but yeah,
it's a bonus felike
that'll be on the DVD extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful moment. And then when we came back for our press tour and we did a screening in Houston, they actually were going to invite me up as part of the drag show to do it, but I didn't want to take away the spotlight from anyone else. But I think that overall, just the best thing about shooting this was just getting to those bar owners and the staff and the performers and the patrons. They became our family too, and we got to know them on such an intimate level. In Houston, we talked to people who drove 3 hours each way to get to that bar every day, and especially in an environment like Texas, and especially an environment with Phoenix and Arizona, it's like the need is just more heightened, it's more punctuated, and the stakes are even higher. And especially as what you just said in what we just saw in Colorado Springs, these are instrumental safe spaces that we need to protect and cherish. So yeah, just becoming really tight with everyone and getting to know them on a level that we didn't think was possible was just really the best part about it.
Yeah, it was amazing to see the amount of regulars. I think it's what you're saying, Erica. These are the only spaces that people can go to. So they do drive for a long time to get there, or they go there almost every night. I mean, in Phoenix, there were regulars that were there every night. We're also bringing their family members. We had worked with them at a distance for a while, and being in the space was it wasn't a completely different experience, but the spontaneity of being there and encountering everyone was just even more elevated in those moments.
I also think, oh, sorry, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that that was very apparent when we did the screenings in the actual venues. Like one of the big, like, you know, hairs and back of necks moments was when you saw the response of the community watching themselves or watching their favorite bars and their homes and their communities on the big screen for the first time. It was like, it gave me tingles, still does.
Yeah, there were a lot of tears on both sides of the camera, and not because I was hot. It was, but there was, yeah, it was really, really beautiful. And in each episode, one of our unifying elements is that we had these kind of like darkest hour moments, which with each of the bar owners, and we had moments where each of the bar owners kind of stepped away from the bar and had this kind of intimate, isolated moment. And those were actually some of my favorite parts of filming too, because we got to understand what make these people tick. We got to see these people come, you know, and their true resilience when they are so upfront and open about the darkest moments of their life. So in, you know, Houston, going down to Galveston and filming that with Julie on the beach was just so beautiful and emotional. And, you know, being in the desert in Phoenix with Audrey, and being on the Staten Island ferry, which was the only time the Staten Island ferry was ever kind of beautiful and romantic, was we filmed that. we definitely, that's a testament to our cinematographer, Maddie, who really made that look gorgeous. Because otherwise, and let me tell you, it was not. Being
best looking ferry.
Yeah. But you know, when we were on the pier, and that was just like really like wonderful to see her so triumphant in that moment. So that was also like personally my favorite elements of just filming those and being like really one-on-one with the bar owners and kind of stripping them of what makes them comfortable, which is the bar, and then like seeing them outside of that and getting to know the human being outside of that was really fascinating.
I mean, you did an incredible job of showing it. That came through 100%, right? You completely, I felt like if I walked into that bar tomorrow, this person was going to be like my new best friend, right? Or something. I mean, that's special. And that speaks very much to your filmmaking and producing abilities 100%. Are there any other, I don't know, I wanted to end it, I guess, on any other thoughts, Brian? When are we going to cover the other 22 bars in this country?
Yeah,
the next series?
we well, and not only in the United States, but globally, right? So there are lesbian bars all over the world that we need to profile, and one step at a time, but we're optimistic that will happen. I think I'd like to leave it with, because this is brand storytelling and people are going to watch this film, they're going to see how talented Erica and Alina are. And, you know, when they're taking the grand jury prize at Sundance in a few years, hopefully they'll remember me. But what I really want to leave it with is that the way that this came together and what it is right now in terms of being a streaming series, it does not happen without Jägermeister, okay? And this is brand storytelling. This is a new era that we're moving into with streaming. Zoe, this is a passion area for you, of course, with what you do for work. So I just want to underline that Jägermeister's commitment, and Olivia specifically, is the reason that this happened. And so at the end of the day, you know, we are thankful to them for creating the platform for us to do this. I love you, Liv.
I'll pay you on the side, Brian. How much?
It's so
been a
true.
fun collaboration.
It's so true though. Like having a brand partner that just gets it. I don't know how else to say it, right? That's the only way, right? These things happen, because otherwise you don't get the output of the product that you did with this. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your trust, Olivia, from the beginning. There's this mutual respect and trust. And yes, it felt, we hadn't met in person at the beginning, and it felt like we had in the past. So we created memories on Zoom.
This all happened over Zoom. I think it was a year in for the first time we actually met each other in person, which is crazy. And now we're like family, because, well, we haven't spoke in the last 2 months, like daily, like we used to, but We did for a good.
We're a little sad about that. but
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
offline
that's-
about it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, season
Yeah.
2, we'll
Next
be getting on the text
project.
chain again. All right. Well, thank you, Zoe. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you
Yeah.
doing this for us, and
Thank
we're
you,
thankful
Zoe.
to Brand
Oh, it was
Storytelling.
my pleasure to highlight this one. So.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll see you all at Sundance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Sounds good.